Amit Chadha, MD and CEO at LTTS, joins in on the show right now. Amit, hi. Walk us through the rationale of this acquisition that you've made. What kind of capabilities does it bring on board for you?
Number one, we're fairly excited about this because if I look at the space today, the ER&D space today, there's about, of the $78 billion of outsourcing that is happening, about 43% comes from software product engineering, right? We've been looking at expanding the software platform and software product development engineering work and the AI analytics work in the company for some time now. IntelliSwift is about $100 million company, annualized. They have experience in software product development, in platform engineering, AI analytics, which sits very well with some of the white spaces that we had in our space. In addition to that, secondly, about 50% of the revenue comes from high-tech clients. The remaining 50% comes from fintech and retail clients, allowing us the ability to expand our software product experience in these areas as well. They've got 4 of 5 hyperscalers are top customers for them. In fact, 3 of those are customers for us as well. So jointly, we'll immediately be able to add up and increase our client pyramid to a lot, 3 more accounts in the 20 million plus range, and giving us the ability to get to $50 million in these accounts. I also feel, given the experience we've got in scaling and growing, we should be able to double IntelliSwift revenue in about 3 years' time, right? So that's been broadly, if you ask me, pivoting on our growth dimension, the rationale for us to have looked at this, etc. Finally, it helps us in getting to the 1.5 billion goal, revenue goal by March 25, and gets us to our 2 billion goal in the medium term slightly sooner.
Picking up from there, Amit, you talked about how this acquisition brings you closer to the $1.5 billion revenue target that you had in this year itself. So are you expecting a completion by March 25 itself?
Yes, we expect it in the early part of Q4 of our financial year.
Okay, fair enough. So you are perhaps expecting it sometime in January, February at the start of the last quarter. But you talked about the white spaces and overlaps in your first answer. Give me a bit more detail. What could be the potential areas of overlaps here within this acquisition synergies?
Sure. So if I look at the hyperscalers where they are operating and we are operating as well, we are working on the hardware engineering piece and embedded electronics and VLSI design piece, while they've been working purely in the software product development piece and platform engineering piece. So there is actually it's a perfect A plus B combination for us as opposed to having any kind of an overlap. So it's a beautiful A plus B model that we see developing going forward. We've done some detailed due diligence with them. We've also talked to the teams. And we are fairly excited that it will help our clients unlock a lot more with this coming together of both the companies.
Right. So is this acquisition margin and EPS accretive in the first year itself?
So look, when you do any kind of an acquisition, there will be an impact on the D part of and depreciation amortization. So to that extent, but we continue to improve our margins. So what I would say is that 2 things here. Number one is that we are still aligned to deliver the 16% EBIT margin levels that we had talked about earlier. And second, you'll give us till January to come back and paint a further picture from there on.
Okay, fair enough. You can't give us a very clear direction there, but at least if you can help me understand what's the current margin profile of IntelliSwift, just trying to marry the two, your margin profile versus there to get a better picture.
So right now, I would stay away from that because we are focused on them closing their books as well for CY 24, which is not done yet. Like I said, January, we'll come back, talk to you more. Right now, focus is to get this integration done quickly, get the ramp on growth. We've always talked about pivoting on growth, gets us to 1.5 and then $2 billion faster, and more to come as we move along.
Morning. Now, we talked about the revenue synergies, but any cost synergy that you're looking at?
Yes, it will. And that's why I'm saying you have to give us till January, because they have responsibility to deliver CY24, and we've spent some time in terms of how we will take the growth forward, how will we improve costs on both the sides. So a lot of work to be done as we move forward.
Right. And what about the headcount? If you could name some of the key clients as well.
We are looking forward to welcoming the entire 1,500 employees, about 500 in the US and Costa Rica, and about 1,000 in India. The average skill experience is about 10 years plus for them. Now, when we come to clients, interestingly, 80% of their revenue comes from about 25 accounts. And the average tenure of these clients with them is more than 5 years. So it's a very stable business from that standpoint. 4 of 5 top hyperscalers are customers for them, and within their top 10 clients, right? And lastly, in terms of capabilities, software product development and platform engineering expertise, AI and data engineering expertise, digital enterprise and integration expertise. They've actually got accelerators that they have worked on for test frameworks, for product and tech process, for acceleration of UI UX, as well as cloud migration. So we believe that this really brings together a lot of capabilities that were sort of white spaces for us and helps us pivot on the growth dimension, because we see this part of the world of software product development actually growing faster than the rest of it, and will allow us to be able to accelerate our growth journey as well.
Okay, so the software product development bit is expected to grow faster, and that's why this acquisition will accelerate your growth. You talked about the overall headcount, but what about the senior leadership at IntelliSwift? Is that staying put? And with respect to the overall attrition, as is the case with the usual teething issues involved with any transaction, do you expect attrition to go up, at least in the near term?
So we've actually gone through all of that, and we have a plan that we're going to execute too. We've actually done a mapping of their individual key personnel on the IntelliSwift side, and we are really looking forward to welcoming them in the family and growing in an A+B model.
Okay, and just lastly, before I let you go, was this acquisition a part of the thought process that you had around the USD 2 billion target? I'm just trying to understand and, divide the organic versus the inorganic part of that $2 billion range that you had set for yourself.
This is part and very much part of our 1.5 and then 2 billion agenda and then 3 billion agenda. Absolutely.
Okay, and finally, before we let you go, can you give us a sense as to what the outlook is when it comes to the overall demand scenario?
So we are expecting, I was in fact in Europe all of last week meeting our customers in France and Germany, and this week is all California, next week again on and on. We are seeing spend clarity emerging, number one. Number two, CY25 is supposed to be a better spend year than CY24. So those two things are definitely coming out. These are driven, number one, by spends in AI, in the software area, as well as compute area going up. Number two, a lot more automation happening. And we are seeing a lot of that impact coming positively to us. And third, we do believe that with the supply chains becoming a little more regional, will bode well for companies like ourselves. So we are optimistic about, or cautiously optimistic about CY25.
Okay, great to have you on the show, and good luck for this new acquisition. Let's also...
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.